started doing a ton of cardio, which I don't know where I got this idea, but like I always thought that cardio was bad. Like doing an hour of cardio straight, I was like, that's terrible for my hormones. I'm never going to do that. When I was doing my triathlon training, in the back of my head, I was like, okay, this is helping me lose weight, but I know that I can't do this forever. Like I'm not going to be doing 3 hours of cardio a day for the rest of my life. That's insane. My training was crazy, but I wasn't losing any weight.
Really? Were you fasted?
Yeah, I would do my workouts fasted. I would eat carbs after, but not before my workouts. And then the 6 months after that is actually like when I lost the 20 pounds.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So after you started eating carbs before working out.
Yeah. Which was absolutely mind-boggling for me.
That's mind-boggling to me right now.
Yeah.
Hi guys. On today's episode, we have our first repeat guest. Grace Terrell is back to talk all things weight loss. So last time Grace was on, we talked about gut health and just holistically healthy living and nutrition. But over the past year, she has lost a significant amount of weight, and I wanted to ask her about it and get all of her tips and tricks because she does a lot of myth busting, which I really appreciate. I think there's so much information out there nowadays that it's nice to have somebody who can really just take a stance and tell us what's real and what's not. Enjoy. Grace Terrell, welcome back to the podcast.
Thanks. I'm so happy to be back. It's been a while.
I think it's been almost exactly a year.
No.
Yeah, because I think our episode last year came out in April, and this one will come out in April.
That's crazy.
So yeah, I'm so excited. You're our first repeat guest besides Dr. Parita.
I'm honored.
It's just been like the evolution you've kind of experienced and shared on Instagram over the last year, I think has just been so interesting to me. I was just talking to you about the fact that like this is super relevant for me right now, just talking about weight loss and the approach you've taken as a whole. So let's dive in.
Yes, let's do it.
Over the last year or a little more, you've lost 20 pounds.
Yeah.
And you're a holistic nutritionist who previously was really focused on optimizing gut health and kind of living in an anti-inflammatory lifestyle. Would you say that's accurate?
Yes, completely.
Okay. And then how did you lose this weight? Did you even intend to begin with?
Yeah. So that's the thing is I feel like my whole career since I've been into nutrition has been optimizing for gut health and hormones. And I was never focused on weight loss. I feel like it was kind of, I mean, it still is like a little bit of a taboo subject. And I feel like a lot of people don't want to talk about it. And you can lose weight by focusing on gut health and hormones. But for me, that just like wasn't the case. And I never really wanted to talk about weight loss because I feel like I just hadn't figured it out for myself. And so I feel like I couldn't really speak on it. And so it's been interesting over the past year how things have changed in an unexpected way for me because I've shifted my perspective on food and exercise, obviously. And I wasn't intending to lose weight, but that's what happened. And it really opened my eyes to how, one, everybody's different, which I already knew, but like when you experience it for yourself, especially in the lens of exercise, it's really crazy. So I think the biggest shift for me was I was training for a triathlon and a half marathon. So obviously I started doing a ton of cardio, which I don't know where I got this idea, but like I always thought that cardio was bad. Like doing an hour of cardio straight, I was like, that's terrible for my hormones. I'm never going to do that.
That is why I wanted to talk today because
Yeah.
that is the phase I'm in right now where I'm like optimizing for hormonal balance and fertility. And especially as someone with PCOS, I feel like all the content on the internet and all the functional medicine doctors out there like don't do high intensity cardio. So I'm just like walking, but frankly, I've gained weight and I'm like, maybe I don't have to do this.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
I mean, that was very confusing for me as well, because again, it depends on your body and it depends on like what you're trying to optimize for. But I was always eating super healthy, obviously, but I was doing the walking and weightlifting. And I did that for my whole adult life. And I just never saw the results that I wanted.
So what was your routine before you shifted into training for the triathlon half marathon?
It was a lot of like long walks outside, like 10,000 steps a day. And I was weight training probably 5 to 6 times a week, maybe like a yoga or like HIIT class in there. I wasn't doing any really high intensity cardio. I also want to emphasize, like, I was still working really hard in the gym. Like, I was lifting a lot of weight and I was putting on muscle, which is amazing. There's nothing wrong with weightlifting. I think everybody should be weightlifting, but it wasn't getting me to the place that I personally wanted to be. So when I started running and training for, first it was a half marathon that I was training for. And I think I was probably training, or maybe I had just done the half marathon when I came here last time.
Oh, okay. But you weren't really sharing a ton about it.
I wasn't sharing a ton about it.
Okay.
I hated running. Like I was like, I hate running so much. And my boyfriend was like, just try it. Like maybe you'll love it. And it was terrible for the first 6 months.
I was going to say, because he's like a high rocks guy, right?
Yes.
So he came into Humanot and did the full AHC. He was so into it.
Yeah.
And so
His
it was fun to
favorite.
get to know him a little bit. And I was like, okay, this makes sense. Grace has
Yeah.
gotten so into this stuff.
Yeah. So he's the one that got me into the cardio training. And also he did help me with my diet a little bit, which is ironic because I'm the
Really?
nutritionist. So when I shifted into doing a lot more cardio, my diet previously, I wasn't eating a ton of carbs because I always felt like my body just didn't like carbs. When I would eat carbohydrates, I would swell, I would get really tired, and I got all my blood work done. I had no issues with my blood sugar. So I was always like, maybe I'm just carb intolerant, like my body just doesn't like it. And so I wouldn't eat a lot of carbohydrates. But when I transitioned into doing a lot of cardio training, you have to eat carbs because one, it crazy like affects your performance. If you have no carbs, your heart rate's going to go up. You're going to feel exhausted. Your body's just not going to adapt to the training. And two, you're just going to feel terrible. And so my boyfriend was like, you need to be eating carbs before you go run. And I was like, well, one, that's terrible for digestion. I'm not going to eat like a bagel before I go work out. And my body just doesn't like it. And for so long, I was like, I'm not doing that. And that was the first like 6 months when I was running. I just like wasn't really eating carbs. And during that time, I also lost like no weight. Like I was running for maybe an hour and a half a day. Like my training was crazy, but I wasn't losing any weight.
Really? Were you fasted?
I would do my workouts fasted. I would eat carbs after, but not before my workouts. And then the 6 months after that is actually like when I lost the 20 pounds.
Whoa. So
Yeah.
after you started eating carbs before working out.
Yeah. Which was absolutely mind-boggling for me.
That's mind-boggling to me right now.
Yeah. But if you don't eat carbs before, your performance lowers and you don't actually burn as many calories. So it makes sense when you think about it scientifically. But yeah, that was one of the most eye-opening things for me. I was like, oh, I actually need to eat more.
You burn more calories when you eat before the workout.
Yes. It depends on, like, for example, if I'm going in an hour and a half running session and I'm doing intervals, your body first is going to burn the glucose that's in your blood and then it goes to your muscle. But when you have the glucose in your blood, it's easier for your body to pull from that energy. So you have more power and usually more endurance in your workout. So you're going to perform better. And in that sense, when you're performing better, you're going to burn more calories because you're not going to feel lethargic. So you can go harder in your workout. So when you look at it through the performance lens, it makes sense because you're burning more calories because you can actually output more energy.
It does make sense. It makes a lot of sense. And I've always been a fasted workout girl. I know your parents were really into health and fitness. So were mine. They always worked out fasted. My dad still gets up, drinks black coffee. Now he does like a bulletproof coffee.
Okay.
Does an hour of strength training, an hour of cardio before.
Back to back.
Oh, yeah. Before eating.
Wow.
And like he'll have a protein shake right after and then come into the office and have like eggs and toast and everything. And my mom, same thing. She'll do like a big black tea, whatever. So that's just like what I picked up doing.
Yeah.
And there's an element of like your adrenals pumping that makes it like feel good.
Mhm.
Like, cause you feel you have an empty stomach, you just like feel clear. But I've been playing with having breakfast lately for hormonal balance because everyone's like, don't have caffeine on an empty stomach. And I'm like, well, I can't work out unless I
Yeah.
have caffeine. So I guess I'm eating and then having caffeine and then working out. And I'm like, oh my God, I have a lot more energy. Like
Yeah.
I have a lot more like fuel to get through this workout. I'm not like dying by the end of it.
Exactly. And I feel like a lot of women, and I'm speaking because this was me, I liked feeling out like I was dying in my workouts because I felt like, don't get me wrong, I still die in my workouts, but like I liked feeling absolutely depleted after because I feel like it was a good workout. It's tough because like if you work out fasted and you have no glucose in your blood, nothing in your muscles, like your liver is depleted, you're going to go in and burn fat. So in a way, like, yes, working out fasted does burn fat, but if you're doing that all the time, it's not good for you. And you're likely just going to go to your muscle.
And you're like, it would be depleting your adrenals, right?
Yeah.
Because you're putting out more adrenaline to like fuel yourself and give yourself
Yes.
energy.
Yeah.
So you went 6 months into training, didn't lose any weight because you were still doing your fasted cardio. Then you started, like, how many carbs are we talking? Are we talking a full bagel? Are we talking half a banana?
I started with like, this was my sourdough era. So I was
Okay.
like baking a ton of sourdough. So I would have like a slice of sourdough
Okay.
with like jam, which was absolutely mind blowing for me to be eating that for breakfast because I'm like, this is carbs and sugar. Like, that's terrible for me. But when you look at it again through the lens of performance, that's exactly what your body needs in that moment if you're going to go do an intense cardio session.
Are you just doing like an hour and a half of cardio every day?
This is where it gets tricky because, like, I'm not recommending people do this. I was training for a triathlon, so it was intense. I was like busting my ass. I was doing like an hour and a half of running and then maybe an hour of biking or an hour of swimming. So, like, for a period of time, I was working out like 3 hours a day.
And are you feeling good during this time?
I was, yeah,
Okay.
because I was fueling my body properly.
Then why wouldn't you recommend other people do it?
Well, because I don't know if saying, do 3 hours of cardio is really realistic for people. But if you're thinking about training for a triathlon, then absolutely go for it. But I'm not saying it's tricky because, like, I don't want to say you have to work out for 3 hours a day to lose weight because you absolutely don't. But for me, that's what worked.
That's what worked.
Yeah.
And are you still training like that?
No.
So we do 6 months fasted cardio, then 6 months of training non-fasted, fed.
Mhm.
What happens after that?
After my triathlon, so for the past 2 to 3 months, I've been doing more weight training because I've been having some pain in my hips. And I think that's linked to, I need to go see a physical therapist, first of all. I've been so stubborn about not, but I think it's linked to not having strong enough glutes. And just like the pounding of the running, you can't do that forever. It takes a toll on your body. So I still do cardio. I do maybe like 3 to 4 cardio sessions a week and then like 5 weight training sessions. But the cardio sessions are shorter and they're lower impact. So I've been doing like Stairmaster, bike.
Shorter, 45 minutes?
Yeah.
45. Okay.
30, 45.
Okay. And that's helped you just kind of like maintain this weight loss and still feel very good.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the other thing is I always thought that the way that you lose weight is the way that you keep the weight off.
Yeah, I want to talk about this. We actually got some listener questions about weight loss versus maintenance. But what were you going to say about it?
When I was doing my triathlon training, in the back of my head, I was like, okay, this is helping me lose weight, but I know that I can't do this forever. Like, I'm not going to be doing 3 hours of cardio a day for the rest of my life. That's insane. So in my head, I was still worried that if I stop doing this, am I going to gain all the weight back? And now that I've stopped for 2 months, I haven't stopped completely. I mean, if I stopped exercising, of course, I would gain some weight. But if I maintain a reasonable amount of exercise, am I going to be able to sustain the weight loss? And I have been.
So when you're doing 3 hours of cardio a day, are you ravenous? Like, even if you're training fed, I feel like I do 20 minutes of cardio and I'm so friggin' hungry.
Yeah, that's where I feel like people's bodies are so different.
Yeah.
Because when I was weight training, I was absolutely ravenous. I was exhausted after and I would be like starving.
Really?
Well, when I was doing cardio, there's something about, for me anyway, when I do cardio, it blunts my appetite after for like an hour. I'm like, I don't want to eat anything. I still would make myself eat something, but it doesn't drive up my hunger like weightlifting did for some reason.
Okay. For me, like if I go run 5 or 6 miles, which I haven't done in a while, I'm not only hungry, like I know what you mean. Like I need like a cool down period. What I get home, I shower, I do my thing, and then I'm ravenous. So I eat. And I'm like, I feel like my metabolism is like pumping for the rest of the day. For the rest of the day, I'm hungrier than I usually would be.
Which is normal because running burns a lot of calories.
Yeah.
And it is revving up the burning of the fat and the sugar in your body. So yeah, your appetite's probably going to go up. But I think it depends how your body personally responds to exercise because
Yeah.
everybody's so different.
We talked about bioindividuality last time you were here in terms of gut health, food sensitivities, things like that. But it's applicable here as well, you would say, right? Because
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
different bodies respond to different types of exercise differently.
Yeah.
Okay. So for you personally, it wasn't driving up hunger. You were able to just kind of like eat a normal sized meal afterwards. And then are you counting calories and macros as you're going?
I wasn't for the first 6 months. And I actually started counting my calories a little bit because I was worried I wasn't eating enough. It wasn't like I was trying to go into a deficit because when you drastically increase exercise like that and you don't really change too much about your diet, obviously you're going to go into a deficit, which I was in a deficit and I was running a lot. So I was like, I'm not sure why I'm not losing weight because that was also in my head. I was like, I've been doing this for 6 months. Like, why am I not losing even a pound?
So just to pause for a second, why don't you think you lost weight during that time?
I don't know. I
Okay.
think because maybe I was driving up my stress hormones too much.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't eating before my workouts. That's my theory. But that's where all of this gets so confusing, because if you're in a calorie deficit and you're exercising, you should be losing weight. That's what everyone
Right.
says. It's calories in, calories out.
Right.
But I think for so many people, that's not the experience.
Yeah.
So I honestly don't have the answer. I'm not
Okay.
sure.
Yeah, I'm just curious. Like I said, I have a very I'm this is like a very selfish episode, and also just like I feel like when I talk to the community a lot, like this is a very, like you said, it's this like hot topic where we almost
Mhm.
don't want to admit we're trying to lose weight. There's
Yeah.
like there's something like alluring in this like wellness world about like, oh, I just like got healthy and accidentally lost weight. And it's like,
Exactly.
but then I talk to my friends, and it's funny because it'll take a while sometimes, and they're like, but like, how did you actually lose the weight?
Yeah. Like, what did you do?
Like, what did you
Tell
do?
me the
Like,
real.
give me the juice.
Yeah.
Because like I've been trying to lose this 15 pounds for 10 freaking years. And
Yeah.
I'm over it.
Mm-hmm.
And like GLP-1s are amazing. Like I am such a proponent of them, especially for someone with like PCOS that really comes in waves sometimes. It helped me regulate my appetite, everything. Like my inflammation. Oh my God. It's like GLP-1s were sent from the Lord above, in my opinion. Also, always with the caveat that like I was still training 5 to 6 times a week. I was eating 90% whole foods. I wasn't drinking alcohol. I wasn't eating excessive sugar. I was living a very healthy lifestyle, and it was just complementing that so well for me to, I felt like I was looking around in the world being like, oh my God, this is how my skinny friends have always felt. They can just go through life and not think about food 24/7.
That's crazy.
Sorry, side tangent. But aside from GLP-1s, there's a lot of people who can't use them.
Yeah.
Like myself right now, when you're trying to get pregnant, you're not allowed to use them, which
Mm.
sucks.
Why is that?
There's some evidence that it could cause miscarriage, or not cause miscarriage. It's like nobody really talks about out loud why exactly, but it's essentially because it's having such a metabolic effect. It's not just blunting your appetite, it's reducing inflammation and impacting your metabolism in all these different ways. It could affect the fetus
Okay.
in that way.
That makes sense because it affects your blood sugar.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you don't have the signal of abundance in your body with blood sugar, I mean,
Right.
it's regulating your blood sugar, so maybe not, but I can understand how that may affect fertility.
Yeah. And it's, there's so many, like there are so many Ozempic babies in the world. There's so many people who get pregnant while they're on it, whether accidentally or they just don't know. They stop it. The baby's totally fine. But it's something like all of my doctors have been like, no, sorry, in good faith, we cannot recommend you even trying to get pregnant without being off of it for, like, they wanted me to be off for 90 days. That's a whole side tangent. But anyway, like there's a lot of people that just can't be on them, right? So
Yeah.
it's like we're still dealing with this, or they just don't want to be on them. We're still dealing with this, like, but how do I lose weight? And like nobody wants to talk about it because it's like,
Yeah.
because we got so far into diet culture for so long, which I totally understand, but it's still a relevant topic, right? And interest.
100%. Yeah. That's like my other thing is I feel like because we're in the wellness space, like I didn't want to touch on it for so long because I didn't want to trigger anybody that had like a past eating disorder, and the topic of calorie counting and exercise to the extent that I was doing it can be tricky for people.
Yeah.
And I also fell into that personally. Like I was like, I don't want to count calories because I don't want it to impact my relationship to food.
Mhm.
I don't want to do intense exercise like this because it's going to affect my relationship with exercise
Mhm.
or drive up my stress hormones or disrupt my like sex hormones, and I'll lose my period. And there was all of this fear mongering I feel around those sorts of things that I never wanted to try it because
Right.
I was afraid to. But there's this other side that I've now realized where like just because you're a woman doesn't mean you can't push your body in
Mhm.
certain ways. I can count calories and have that information because it's just information to me. I've never personally had an eating disorder. And so I am able to do that and it doesn't impact me. And I think realizing those things and realizing that like I was just operating out of like fear because I didn't want to inflict myself with, some sort of issue that I didn't have. I was holding myself back from actually getting the results that I wanted.
Yeah.
And so it's been very interesting to see that I actually can push my body really, really hard.
Yeah.
And eat in a strategic way with my diet. And it's improved my health, my mental health. And like I have a great relationship with food and exercise,
I love that.
even though I've lost weight, I'm also not scared of certain foods in the way that I previously was. Like I
Like
wouldn't
carbs.
I wouldn't eat carbs and sugar. Now I look at them as fuel. So I think it's all like perspective, obviously, and trial and error, and everyone's body, again, is different.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's been cool to see how my personal body has responded to those things.
I think it's really refreshing to hear too, because I think, like you said, it's like the wellness space can kind of get so inflated with this topic of like so many people have dealt with disordered eating or eating disorders and, hormone issues and the mental health and food relationship. But
Hmm.
not necessarily everyone. Like
Yeah.
it's like it is. We like drive up this almost like fear mongering on accident. And it's like you can still just like count calories and figure out like what you're eating on a day to day. Like I recently did that and realized I was eating so much fat. Like I
Yeah.
don't need to be eating this much fat. Like it's even when you're trying to get pregnant and it's like you need to eat a certain amount to be like optimally healthy. I was like, oh, I'm like way overdoing it. It's really helpful to know.
Exactly. It's eye-opening, and it's
Yeah.
just information at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have to attach like an emotion to everything all the time. Like sometimes it can just be, it is what it is, and do what you want with that information, but it's helpful to know.
Yeah. So when you were here last time, we talked a lot about you had been vegan. It caused a lot of inflammation in your gut. It caused leaky gut, which had kind of had a total body inflammatory effect on you.
Mm-hmm.
And you did a lot of gut healing and just
Yeah.
lowering the inflammation in your body. Do you think that you had to go through that phase first to be able to have like as resilient of a body and mind as you have now? Or do you think you could have gone from being raw vegan, kind of being a mess from that, straight into this protocol?
No.
Okay.
I think that because I went through that whole phase of understanding my digestive health, understanding how my body responded to certain foods, and just going through that whole process of lowering the inflammation and getting myself to a good metabolic space and gut health space where I was healthy and resilient, that allowed my body to respond in the way that it did. If I was still vegan, if I was having all these digestive issues, my hormones were like crazy up and down, I think the exercise that I was doing, I don't think I know, it would have added much more inflammation to my body, and I wouldn't have had the results that I do. So that's the other thing with health, is like you have to go through different stages, and anything that you hear on the internet, you have to look at it through the lens of what stage you are in at that moment. Because if somebody's watching my content and I'm talking about doing all this cardio and they're in a phase where they maybe have an autoimmune condition or they have digestive issues and there's already a lot of inflammation in their body, doing a lot of cardio is not going to be beneficial for them. So you have to take everything with a grain of salt.
So what do you recommend if somebody has an autoimmune condition, PCOS, something they know is inflammatory,
Mm-hmm.
kind of driving inflammation in their system? Where do you recommend beginning for them?
Trial and error. You have to see how your body responds to different things. I don't recommend going extremes, like don't do 3 hours of cardio a day. But cardio isn't just good for weight loss, it's good for everything. It's good for your cardiovascular health, it's good for your heart, it's good for your blood sugar regulation, it's good for your mental health. It can lower inflammation if you do it in the right way. So yeah, I think don't be afraid of
What
cardio.
is doing cardio in the right way to lower inflammation?
Maybe like 30, 45 minutes a couple times a week on the Stairmaster, get your heart rate up. Zone 2 cardio, which is like, I recommend getting an Apple Watch because that was also really helpful for me to see where my heart rate was at, because there's different heart rate zones. So I was actually doing a lot of my cardio in zone 2. So my heart rate was lower. It was like between 130 to like 148. So you're not dying. You can still sustain a conversation. So that level of cardio, zone 2 cardio, should be the base of what you do. And then maybe 1 to 2 high interval sessions where your heart rate's going to max heart rate, like 170, 180, whatever it is, for short bursts.
So like running sprints.
Yes. You don't want to be running sprints for an hour. Like
Right.
that's inflammatory. So you need a balance of the both.
And did you have to work up? Like, I think I remember seeing a video of yours where you were like, when I first started running, my heart rate would shoot up just like as soon as I started running. So did you have to kind of work up to get to a place where you could just be in zone 2 for an hour?
Absolutely. It took me so long.
Oh, okay. How long?
Yeah. It took me probably 4 or 5 months. to
Okay.
even be able to run in zone 2. It's really like, it's hard.
Yeah.
If you don't have a cardio base, which I didn't because I never did cardio like that,
Yeah.
I would start running and then within 2 minutes, my heart rate would be like 180, which is terrible.
Okay.
So I had to start doing like run walk intervals. So I would walk for 2 minutes, run for 30 seconds, and then just kind of build up. So I was running for longer periods of time and also running like really, really slow, like
Yeah.
4 miles per hour on the treadmill. Like you
Yeah.
feel like you can walk at that pace, but
Yeah.
run. And that's how you build slowly that cardio base. Because
Okay.
you can't just be running for an hour at 180. Like that's not good for your body.
Right. So we're like relatively the same age. What is the heart rate zone that you're in? Zone 2.
Mine is like 128 to 148,
Okay.
about that zone.
Okay.
But it's
That makes
different for
sense.
everyone. It depends on your maximum heart rate. So like when you do the VO2
Oh,
max test,
right.
the highest your heart rate goes, they give you, have you done the VO2 max?
I have. So it was over a year ago, so I need to redo it. But yes.
It'll tell you your heart rate zones
Yeah, you're
in
right. That's information I should know.
there.
Okay, I think that's really helpful though, because it's something to like I think it's helpful to have those tools when you're new at this, because like you said, if somebody has never done cardio before, it can feel a little foreign to know, is this like good? Like, does this feel like good stress or bad stress? Like, is this too much or is this what I'm supposed to feel?
Yeah,
You know?
it's really hard to figure that out. I was very, very confused at first.
Okay.
But again, my boyfriend helped me a lot because he knows a lot about this stuff. Because when I started cardio, I thought that I would just feel like I was dying forever when I was running. But you see people that go out and they run 5, 6, 7 miles and their heart rate's at like 135.
Right.
And that I was like, oh, so you're running and you feel kind of fine
You
the
feel
whole
fine.
time.
Right.
And that's when you like work your way up to that.
Yeah.
But you have to run really, really slow at first if you choose to do running as your form of cardio.
So do you enjoy running now?
I do. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I've gotten to that
that's
point where I'm
hopeful.
not dying the whole time, you know?
Yeah, because it feels good. It doesn't feel
Yes.
bad.
Yeah.
I think that is like a bridge that you need to get to, where it's like, I remember my husband saying that a long time ago, like, I'll just never understand how people love running. I hate it. But I think it is. It's like you need to work up to a point where you feel good while you're doing it. You don't feel like you're dying.
Exactly.
Okay. So do you still track calories and macros, or do you just kind of know?
I'm not at the moment, no.
Okay.
I'm just kind of eyeballing it.
Just eyeballing it.
Yeah. I
Love
feel like I've done enough tracking to the point where I have the information about like how many calories in the range is something that I'm eating. And so I don't have to like track it so much anymore.
So were you eating more while you were training for the triathlon than you currently are in your like maintenance mode?
Probably.
Okay.
Probably.
Yeah, you're really like unattached to it. You're like, I don't know, you when I'm hungry and I
Yeah.
don't, I don't.
Exactly.
I love it.
I feel like that's the best way to be. Like, you don't want to stay in the zone forever of tracking everything that you're putting in your mouth, tracking how many calories you're burning. Like, it was helpful at the time because I, again, wanted to make sure that I was eating enough and fueling properly so that I could perform well at my triathlon. But now that I don't have that goal in mind, I'm kind of just living life.
I love that. But I get like personally, and I know I've talked to friends who have lost a significant amount of weight as well, where it feels like I lost weight for my wedding, for example. And this was before I tried GLP-1s. And like, if I'm being so honest about it, I was white knuckling that process. Like, I was in a major calorie deficit. I was strength training 3 times a week, doing Pilates 3 times a week, and running like 5 times a week. Like, it was just
It's
a
intense.
lot.
Yeah.
On top of the stress of like planning a wedding and running businesses. After the wedding, I was like, oh, I'm just going to be able to maintain. And like, I gained weight rapidly because I didn't do a proper reverse diet. Like, do you ever talk about reverse dieting?
Yes. So reverse dieting, I thought I had to do this. This is
Okay.
the crazy thing. Right now, I'm just enjoying that I'm maintaining this. I'm not saying that's going to be forever. Like, if I
Okay.
started eating more and like being like super chill about it, I would gain weight. That's
Okay.
just kind of how it works. But yeah, reverse dieting is like strategically adding like 100 calories like a month at a time until you can build your metabolism back up so that you can eat more and not like rapidly gain weight. I've never done it.
Okay.
But that is by the book the way that you come
Sure.
out of a calorie deficit.
Because that's what, like, I have a friend who lost 85 pounds.
Oh, wow.
It was a long process, and she's now at a point where she has her routine, but she's probably still eating a very low amount of calories, which, as you said, slows down your metabolism
It
long
does.
term.
Yeah.
And that's when you kind of take your foot off the gas or you take your eye off the ball. You feel like, oh God, like I just gained weight so quickly because I went on vacation and started eating 2,000 calories a day.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody's in that position where they've lost a significant amount of weight from being in this deficit, that's what you would recommend is reverse dieting, slowly creeping that number up.
Yes.
And they shouldn't have to do excess cardio or exercise to be able to increase that number.
No. If you've done the weight loss in a way that's been very strategic, you know the amount of calories you're eating, and you know the amount of deficit that you're in an amazing place because you have that information. I feel like a lot of people don't have that information, and then it gets really tricky. But if you've been in an intentional deficit, so you have those numbers, yeah, I would highly recommend just increasing very, very slowly and seeing how your body responds, because everyone's going to respond differently. If you're tracking like your weight on a scale, that's great. You can see if it's shooting up too fast or just not really going anywhere. You probably will gain a couple pounds, but first of all, nobody's going to notice if you gain a couple pounds. You probably feel better coming out of a deficit because being in a deficit, you feel exhausted and tired.
Yeah.
Especially if it's an extreme deficit.
Well, there's like a euphoric side of it too, where it can be a
Yeah.
little bit addicting in that way, which is, very interrelated with the whole eating disorder thing. Where like
Exactly.
sometimes when you're in a deficit, you're like, I feel amazing.
Yeah. You probably will for a while.
Yeah.
But if you've been in it for a long period of time, you're not going to feel so
Yeah.
good.
And then you feel depleted. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would recommend doing a reverse diet if you
Okay.
can, if you have that information.
Okay. So do you think it's possible to lose weight? Like if somebody does have a history with disordered eating, do you think it's possible to lose weight without counting calories?
Yes. It depends where your starting point is.
Yeah.
So, like, for example, if it depends how much wiggle room you have. If you're like drinking soda and eating like not really healthy, you're kind of just eating whatever. If you cut out soda, you're probably going to lose weight. That puts you in a great position. But if you're somebody that already eats like super, super clean and you're just like not really counting calories, it might be hard for you to know how much you're actually eating and how much less you should be eating. So it's tricky. It depends on the circumstance, and it depends on the person if it's even worth it to put yourself in that position to where you could, trigger an eating disorder or disordered eating again. You have to be in the right mental space. So it depends how much wiggle room you have. Like,
Yeah, I know. It's always nuanced and dependent on the person and their situation and
yeah.
all of it. And then I guess similar around like cardio spiking cortisol, because that's such a thing that we hear about. Don't do HIIT workouts. They spike your cortisol. We'll all get cortisol face and cortisol belly and
Yeah.
all the things. Would you recommend just trying a HIIT workout, seeing how you feel?
Yeah.
And then going from there?
Yes. It all depends on how much stress you have in your life in general. Like if you're a single mom, you have a really stressful job, you're not eating enough, you're not sleeping, doing a high intensity interval workout's probably not going to be good for you because it's just going to add to that stress. But it depends on your lifestyle. Like if you don't have that much stress in your life, it's going to be a beneficial stressor for you, and your body's going to be able to adapt and get stronger because of it. So it depends on like how much inflammation you have, how well you're taking care of your body, where your nervous system's at. If that cortisol spike, because it does spike your cortisol, but like a spike in cortisol isn't always a bad thing. It can be an adaptive response, not an inflammatory response on your body. So it depends on the person, and you're going to feel the difference in how your body is responding to it. I'm not going to say go do like 6 HIIT sessions a week. That's probably going to deplete you, but start slow and then build up from there and see how it responds. And you kind of have to like play with it a little bit.
Yeah. I remember one time I did like an F45 cardio class at 6 a.m.
Oof.
and on a Monday, which was nuts. And like I could barely function the rest of the day.
Yeah.
And I feel like it was like a very stark example of like, this is not for you.
Yeah.
And even like I might be able to handle an F45 cardio class at 12 p.m. on a Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
But at 6 a.m., like
On
my
a Monday?
body, it was just shock to my body.
Yeah. That's rough.
So yeah, if you feel like you need a nap afterwards, probably too much cortisol.
Yes.
Yeah.
But also doing it, like trying it once under that circumstance, don't just like throw it out because you had a bad experience one time. You have to put your body in the position to respond to it well in order to respond to it well. There was times in my life where I didn't respond to it well. Now I do. Like it all depends. You can hear advice from all ends of the spectrum, but your body is the best teacher. You just have to pay attention.
Yeah, it is interesting to think about that like I think it is easy to write off. It's funny. I've been once again optimizing for fertility, talking to different specialists about like or just listening to different specialists about like what's the optimal diet for fertility.
Mm-hmm.
And something that's recommended is actually mixing in more healthy plant-based meals. And I have this almost like
Interesting.
visceral reaction to
Yeah.
it because I'm like, no, that like causes inflammation in my body. Like I didn't feel good when I was vegan. But it's once again, it's like, okay, no one's recommending you go full vegan.
Yeah,
But mixing in a more plant-forward meal here and there can be very beneficial for your gut health.
for
And
sure.
once again, to pay attention to how you feel afterwards. And then like I did eat like a pre-meal a couple weeks ago and I was like, oh, I actually feel really good.
Amazing.
So it's like it is. It's just like we build up these fears for
Yeah.
things that, we probably once overdid.
Yep.
Especially for whatever our body was going through at that time. But it doesn't mean we should write it off forever.
100%. I agree.
Oprah has recently talked about the obesity gene. I know
Ah.
you didn't see Oprah coming out of my mouth it's today, did you? But this has been a big thing people have been asking me about, and I
Yeah.
figured you'd be a good resource. So Oprah has been talking about the fact that there's an obesity gene
Mm-hmm.
and that having this gene is what makes people overeat, as opposed to the reverse of people overeating and it creating obesity.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this?
I think this topic is so interesting. And I haven't dived fully into the obesity gene, so I don't know like the nitty gritty about it. But it's like Dr. Mark Hyman talks about the obesogens. Like
Yeah.
there's things that cause obesity. And I think with everything, you can have a predisposition to obesity. Like you see, like for example, if your parents are obese, you're much more likely to be obese. One, maybe because of genetics and you have that disposition. But two, you grow up in a household where your parents are feeding you maybe not so good food. Maybe you guys don't exercise so much. The lifestyle is then creating that gene to manifest into reality. So I think, yes, some people are more predisposed to gaining weight. Like genetically, I'm probably 20, 30 pounds heavier than this. But I
Really?
have to work my ass off in order to be a leaner person.
Right.
Like my whole family, everyone in my family has to work hard to be fit.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think there is like you have like naturally skinny friends who just can eat whatever they want and they're skinny.
Yeah.
And then you have friends that always have to watch their weight. So I think there is definitely a genetic element to how your body stores fat, one in different areas of your body. Obviously, we know some people like for me, when I gain weight, it goes to my arms and my stomach.
Right.
Like other people, it can just go to their butt and they're blessed.
Right.
So I think, yes, there is a genetic component to gaining weight, but I think that doesn't mean that it has to be your reality. It's like you can have a predisposition to Hashimoto's. That doesn't mean that you're going to get Hashimoto's, but if you add the triggers in your environment in your life to stimulate that, then you are more likely to get Hashimoto's.
Yeah.
So I don't love the narrative that like, oh, because you have this gene, that means you're going to be obese and you can't
Right.
do anything about it.
Right.
It's not your fault.
Right.
Like, I don't like that.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's so funny because it hadn't come across my desk until people were asking me about this. And then I was like searching for it. And it's interesting to see her talking about it because it's releasing this like, or it's lifting this weight that
Mhm.
she carried for
Her whole
60
life.
years.
Yeah.
Where she was like, the number of tears I've cried and time I've spent journaling and like asking God why. Like, why am I plagued by this like constant food noise, this whole thing? Like, there's something relieving feeling about saying it's not your fault. This was always going to happen. This is your genetics, especially now that we have like a fix for it. And I can appreciate that. And then on the other side of it, it feels like a cop out to me because once again, even as somebody who has very healthfully used GLP-1s, I was not eating a diet of French fries and soda with the appetite that I had. And I think that you do see people doing that and it makes me really nervous.
Right. I agree with you in the sense of like, I would never want to put shame on somebody who has struggled with weight their whole life because that's so hard. I, to an extent, know how that feels,
Yeah.
right? So like you can feel like you're trying so hard, you're doing everything. And like, this is the one thing that you just can't get a hold on. And like, it's really, really impacting your life. And I think that's where GLP-1s are so amazing
Yeah.
because it changes your brain and you are kind of like lifted from that like prison that you've been in. And so I understand how freeing that must feel to like be like, this is not my fault at all. And it's like, I think it also affects like your brain, right? Like food addiction is a real thing, and you can be predisposed to having addictions. And if you have a food addiction, that's so hard because you have to eat food. If you're an alcoholic, you can just cut out alcohol completely. Like when
Yes.
you are addicted to food, you have to white knuckle for the moderation. And that must be so, so hard.
Yeah.
So I don't think we should put more shame on people who struggle with obesity, but I also don't think it's helpful to tell people that they don't have control over it.
I agree.
Because when you say you have no control over it, then you're not going to take the steps that you need to take to fix it because you say you have no control.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think there's a balance, like with all things, of accountability
Mm-hmm.
and also not placing blame.
Yeah.
Right? It's like in the same way, I think we all know, I like hate this term, but the quote unquote skinny fat people who are like, they're genetically blessed to just like be able to eat whatever they want. And so they do. They eat a lot less because they just don't really want more, but they, they'll have a Coke and a side of fries and be fine with that. And it's like, there's still an accountability factor that you still need to eat well for your health long term.
For sure. Yeah, it's not all about weight loss either. If you're losing weight, that's the other thing with the GLP-1s is because everyone is on them now, there's people that are losing weight and losing their period and their hormone health is going to shit. And okay, you're skinny, but now you can't have a baby and your hair is falling out and you lost all your muscle. So that's not really benefiting your health at all. So in the realm of this conversation, you also have to take into account like your hormone health and all of these other things. And if your goal is weight loss, make sure that that weight loss is going to put you in a better place metabolically and physically than before.
Right. And would you say muscle mass is like the number
Muscle
one
mass
component
is-
of that?
Yeah, very, very important. As much as I love cardio, you have to build muscle. And before I went in this cardio phase, I was weightlifting for like 6-7 years. So I had put on a lot of muscle mass. And that also is so important for your metabolism. So if I hadn't gone through that phase, my body wouldn't have responded the way that it did.
Yeah, that is such a big caveat to emphasize, that having the muscle first makes the rest of this process not easier, but more efficient.
Yeah, exactly.
So if someone is feeling stuck in their body and like it's broken, what would you say is the first thing to focus on?
Diet. I think there's so much confusing information online that we just get confused because we're bouncing around so much. And taking an actual audit of your diet, this is where counting calories and macros can be very helpful, because if you don't have that knowledge of what actually is going into your body, you can be very, very off. And that could be what's affecting you. And I think so many people are afraid of tracking that they end up taking 2-3 years of time being so confused, where it could really just be like you narrow in on that and you figure out what the problem is at the root. Because oftentimes it's that, but it depends like what you're stuck with. Like, are you talking about in the lens of weight loss or like?
Yeah, I think in the lens of weight loss. Like, I
Yeah.
think I personally, I mean, I posted the other day this whole like 2016 trend. Like, I spent many years just feeling like my body is broken and almost like it was a hopeless cause, because I would go through these phases of calorie deficit, feeling good, but white knuckling for sure, and then just kind of go off the rails.
Yeah.
Because it was just, you can't like live, it's unrealistic to live in like this state of hunger all the time.
For sure.
And then, I've also been through phases where I accidentally lose weight because my life is just like, I don't have a lot of stress in it. And like that inflammation just kind of falls. And
Yeah.
during COVID, I talk about all the time, I lost weight accidentally for the first time in my life because I was drinking so much less. I didn't have the stress of like commuting and going into the office every day.
Yeah.
My mom was cooking dinner. Like life was just like easy.
Chill.
Chill. Like, it's like I hate to admit it because it was like such an awful time in the world. But for me personally,
It was great.
it was great.
Yeah.
And I had that kind of like, maybe my body isn't broken. Maybe I was under a lot more stress than I realized.
Stress is a huge component. I mean, you could be doing everything right, and if your stress is too high, your body is just going to hold on to fat. And that's
Yeah.
the most annoying thing to hear, because a lot of us can't control our circumstances and we just
Right.
have to deal with the stress. You can't just like quit your job and go live on an island,
Right.
So you have to do things to manage that stress, whatever that looks like for you. We all hear the classic things like journal more and meditate. That stuff can really help. If that is your priority, you have to figure out how to rearrange your life so that you can make stress reduction a priority. And it's
Yeah.
hard. And I think the overarching lesson that I learned is like, shit's hard, but like you have to do it anyway. You have to figure it out because nobody is going to do it for you.
Yeah.
You know?
100% kind of comes back to that accountability piece. Like,
Yeah.
unfortunately, like, yeah, you do have to just like take charge sometimes.
You have to take charge. And that could be creating different boundaries in your home life so that you have 15 minutes to just like chill and relax. And that can lower your stress. Or it could be taking control of your diet and actually getting that information that you don't want to face. Because I think that's a lot of it. That was a lot of it for me too. I was eating super healthy, but I was like, I never want to have to count calories. That's so dumb. I should just lose weight naturally because I'm eating so well. But
Right.
that just wasn't the reality. And so I had to do what I didn't want to do. And
Yeah.
it opened my eyes to things and it made my life a lot easier.
Yeah, I think I see that a lot as well, or I think that a lot as well, because we see like so many people talking about like calories in, calories out is bullshit. Just eat a whole foods diet and you'll lose weight. And it's like the rest is easy. And like I can attest to right now, I'm eating a completely whole foods diet. I am doing no alcohol, no sugar, no dairy, no gluten because I'm very intolerant to dairy and gluten. I'm not losing weight. It's because I'm not like I'm taking in too many calories, and that's okay. Like there's an element of just like it's just the basic science of it all that
Exactly.
like I said, I've been eating too much fat, and
Yeah.
that's okay to just like understand the math of it all.
For sure.
Yeah.
And especially like the phase that you're in, like that's also completely fine.
Right.
You know, you have a different priority right now.
Right.
And that is probably very good for your body.
Yeah, 100%. In terms of like struggling with the hunger piece, if somebody is trying to lose weight, have you ever tried using tools like exogenous ketones to like quiet some of that hunger?
I have actually.
Oh,
I was taking BHB for a
Okay.
while, and I feel like it definitely worked a little bit. But at the time, I wasn't really trying to quiet my hunger. I was
Okay.
trying to like eat more. So I was like,
Oh.
maybe I shouldn't be doing this because it was during my triathlon training. So I like needed
Fuel.
to eat. Yeah, I needed the fuel. But it was helpful for my workouts. Like I felt like I had more like of a clear feeling energy
Okay.
than I did with carbs, because as much as I love carbs now, it still does give me a little bit of foggy brain
Yeah.
sometimes. And I feel like it was more of like a clean energy, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I feel the same way, by the way. Like that was something, not to be like this like GLP-1 advocate this whole time, but like that was something I really liked about being on GLP-1s was I felt like I could eat a moderate amount of carbs and not feel this like puffiness and swelling. And I currently do. Like I'm
Mm.
eating carbs every meal right now to support my hormones and blood sugar, because my blood sugar was actually too low for a while. They make me foggy. Like
Yeah.
it makes me foggy if I have more than just like a little bit,
hmm
especially like in the morning or afternoon.
Yeah. I think that's just the reality for some of us.
Yeah. But you think ketones could be a really helpful tool for somebody who is trying to lose weight, but in a calorie deficit, feeling hungry?
Yeah. I think it's a great tool.
Okay.
Definitely give it a try.
Okay.
I
love
never was a believer of that. And then I started working with a brand that sent me like a bunch of ketones, and I was like, let me just give it a whirl. And I loved it.
that. I may
Yeah.
have to reach out to them. Before we finish, I have some questions from listeners. Can men follow the same weight loss advice we're giving women, or is there anything you would change for men?
I think generally men can go a little bit harder
Yeah.
because their hormones are just like they have testosterone. They can just handle a
Mhm.
lot more pounding of the body. So, yeah, I think men don't need to be as gentle. Not that women need to be super gentle, but we don't have the same hormonal profile as men. And so we're more susceptible to hormone disruption from like really intense exercise. But they don't need to be as careful about that. So I think they can handle more intensity
Yeah.
in general.
Speaking of, what's your take on cycle syncing?
I don't like it
Ooh,
personally.
why?
I just think, one, it's like another thing that you have to think about and it just overcomplicates stuff. And two, everyone's hormones are so different. Like we all have the same cycles, you know, like the follicular, luteal, ovulation. But if it's too structured, it's not actually going with your body's rhythm, because there's so many different things happening, like the way that you exercise, the way that you eat, the stress in your life, the way you're sleeping. that can throw those things off. So you can actually be in a different phase than you think you are. And so if you're trying to like be so regimented about the exercise you do in each phase, I don't think it's really helpful. If you know that you're in your luteal phase, for example, and you just feel crappy at that time every single time of during the month, yeah, don't like go and try and run 10 miles during that.
Right. I was going to say, during your training phase, did you ever have time, say during your luteal phase, where you were like, I was supposed to run 10 miles today, but I just don't think that that's the best thing to do?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah. The way that I like to look at it is just listen to your body signals. If you feel absolutely terrible, don't push it too hard, but also you can.
Yeah.
I feel like the cycle syncing thing has gone too extreme. Like every single health trend, people take it too far, where
Facts.
you're in your luteal phase. Oh, I can't do anything. I'm just going to lay on the couch because I'm like so luteal today. You
Right.
know, if you do that every month, that's like a week out of every month that you're slacking because you're in your luteal phase.
Yes, there's this element once again of like finding your balance where it's, I agree, like I strength train in every phase of my cycle. There's like my non-negotiables where it's like I strength train at least 3 days a week in every phase of my cycle. However, in my follicular phase, sometimes I'm feeling like really going for it and I'm like maxing out and like lifting super heavy.
Yeah.
And in my luteal, I'm just feeling sometimes, not always, sometimes I have a lot of energy in my luteal phase. I'm just feeling like I'm depleted.
Mhm.
And on those days, I go lighter so that I'm not burned out afterwards.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
I think that's the way people should do cycle syncing.
Yeah.
It's just when people go so extreme with it, it adds another layer of stress and you end up giving yourself excuses because you're in your luteal phase.
Yeah.
Every time.
I love
Sometimes it's
this.
fine, but you know.
You're like, go hard, no excuses, ladies.
No, I mean, I don't want to come off like
No, just
where
kidding.
we should be training like men and like not,
Yeah.
our hormones don't matter at all. Obviously, our hormones matter a lot, you know?
Yes.
But it's just, you don't want to overthink it to the point where you're disabling yourself from
And
pushing.
being afraid of cardio
Yeah.
and pushing your heart rate, like you said. I've been like working up a little bit more cardio after this conversation. I'm like inspired to do more of it. But even just noticing like I'm doing like 12, 330 on the treadmill, walking at an incline, and my HRV is rising, which is really nice. Like from my
Great.
Aura ring.
Yeah.
Which is a huge health metric. Like it's proof that it's making me healthier.
Mm-hmm.
So pay attention to things like that. How long do you think it's okay for someone to be on a GLP-1 medication?
Well, it depends on the person.
Yeah.
It depends.
Yeah.
If you have something like PCOS, for example, or, you know, Hashimoto's or something where your inflammation is just at a higher level and it's really benefiting all of your markers, like your blood sugar, your inflammation, your weight, and you're on a low enough dose where it's not giving you side effects, I don't see why you can't be on it for the rest of your life if it's benefiting you in every single way possible. If you're someone who just wanted to lose 30, 40, 50 pounds, and now you're at your goal weight, whatever that was, I think you should get off of it.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I have a lot of friends who have very successfully gotten off of their GL. Like they used it to lose a significant amount of weight, maintained for a couple months, weaned off of it, are maintaining their weight loss. I mean, quote unquote, no problem, but like easily. They feel
Amazing.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The more I learn about GLP-1s, and I think the more people are using them, the less I'm against it. Like when they first came out, I was like, this is such a cop out. Nobody should be on these medications. And I still do think that they shouldn't be used at that, like as high of a dose as they are. I've heard so many success stories with people specifically with PCOS, how it just helped them so much. And I think if we found something that works and there's like very little downside to it, like I don't see why not.
Yeah. I heard somebody recently correlate them to antidepressants and the fact that like
Interesting.
antidepressants are actually very overprescribed.
Mm-hmm.
But for so many people that they are right for, it can be absolutely life-changing and life-saving. And especially with the way that they can, like you're saying, for people who have maybe they already have type 2 diabetes or they have very severe PCOS, it can, over the course of your lifetime especially, reduce the number of prescriptions you're on total significantly.
Yeah.
And when you look at it from that way of like my father-in-law, for example, was on like 4 different medications. Now he's just on Zepbound. He feels healthier than ever, and he doesn't have all the side effects of being on all the other medications. It's
Yeah. So
amazing.
why not?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
Okay.
my dad, I think I maybe talked to you about this last time. He was probably just getting into peptides at that point.
Oh yeah.
Now he's like My dad's also kind of an extremist, so maybe he's going a little crazy. But he is on tesamorelin,
Yep.
BP57, TB500, and retatrutide.
Yeah.
And
He sounds like my dad. That's funny.
he's like, I feel fucking amazing. I'm like a superhero.
Yeah.
And my dad's always been super, super healthy. Like goes to the gym, lifts weights, does cardio. He's a cyclist. Like he's a chiropractor, like takes care of himself to the T.
Yeah.
And he's like, this stuff just makes me feel like I'm 20 again. Like
Yeah.
I'm doing everything that I was doing before, but now my body's actually responding like a young person. And he's like, this is absolutely incredible. And I have no side effects. I'm like, you know what? Do your thing, Dad.
My
Take
dad
as many
is
as you
so
want.
my dad has been on the peptide train since like before it was a thing like in media. Like and he was and it was just like when he would tell people about them, they were like, okay, like you kind of got that feeling like it's like, okay, steroid bro, you
Yeah,
know? And so he kind of
exactly.
like stopped talking about them for a long time. And then like as they've gotten popular, it's been like this ultimate like, this is what I was talking about.
Yeah.
I know. And even from me, because I was like, okay, like when the GLP-1s came out, I was like, all right, like this is a little crazy. Like, you know, not everyone needs to be on these. Maybe if you're obese.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, everyone should be on them. No, I'm just kidding. No, but now I'm like, they can be really life-changing, even if you're not severely obese. Like, even if you do just carry that 15 pounds of inflammation weight, like, right? And it's very validating for him because he's like,
I've been telling you.
I've been telling you. Yeah. I love that though. So does he use them in his chiropractic practice?
He's starting to.
That's
He
cool.
just had a call like 2 weeks ago with a company to start using them.
Very cool.
So I think that's an amazing compliment to chiropractic care. Like if somebody, you know, needs like healing,
Yeah.
BPC 500
Yeah.
or
BPC
157, TB 500.
TB 500, yes.
It's like speaking another language with all these peptides.
I know. Whenever I start telling people who aren't like in this world, they're like, what language are you
Yeah,
speaking?
what are you talking about? My friend Jenna, I was talking to her about peptides and she's like, you sound like such a dweeb. Like TB 500, BB 157. Like, actually, you really do sound like a dweeb, but whatever.
Yeah. No, even my husband says that to me. Like, okay, nerd.
Yeah.
Have you tried any peptides?
I have tried
We'll call it.
BPC and TB 500.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, I've been using a blend of the two.
Oh, nice.
I will say I haven't been consistent with using them. Like, I'll like do it for a week and then I forget about it.
Oh, yeah.
So I haven't really seen any benefits from it, but I'm not like, if I was consistent with it, I could fully speak on it. But
yeah, consistency is key. Definitely. Definitely. Okay, our last listener question is, what are the top 5 things to say no to for weight loss?
Alcohol, because when you're drinking alcohol, your body stops burning fat and it's extra calories that you're not eating. So you're still going to be hungry on top of that. And it drives inflammation. So alcohol, added sugar, I guess. Anything that your specific body, you know, drives inflammation. So it could be like gluten or dairy. If your inflammation is high, it's going to be harder for you to feel like you're losing weight because you're going to feel puffy, and harder for your body to burn fat because it's just like dealing with all this inflammation first.
I'll just make a note on that a good way to understand if you're intolerant to something is to do a true 30 days without it and see how you feel. Because I did so many food intolerance tests that said I was fine with gluten, and I cut it out for 30 full days and I lost 7 pounds without changing anything else.
Wow.
Yeah. And like you could see it like in my face and in my belly in particular. And I was like, oh. And there's just like nothing like an actual elimination diet to show you what your body's actually intolerant to.
Exactly. It's annoying to do it for 30 days, but that's the amount of time that it takes for your body to fully get rid of the inflammation. I totally agree. Like the food sensitivity tests are like sometimes good for certain things, but you'll come out with like a lot of things that it says you're intolerant to that you're actually not intolerant to. And then the reverse of that. So those are tricky.
Yeah. How do you feel about marijuana?
I actually used to be a big smoker.
Yeah?
Yeah. Like in college, because of my sister, I'm going to call her out. My sister struggled with like severe, like debilitating anxiety and insomnia.
Oh,
and so she was a huge smoker. And my brother also was actually a smoker. So then I started smoking weed.
We're airing the whole family story watching today.
And so I went through a phase where I was like smoking a good amount. I haven't touched it in like a long time because I just don't like how it makes me feel anymore. I feel like it makes me lazy. It makes you overeat. And I just don't like what it does to my brain. Like the paranoia, it literally makes me anxious now. So I just don't do it. If you are a big smoker, I think maybe it would be helpful to cut it out for a while to see how that affects your eating habits.
Yeah.
I mean, processed foods, obviously, like specifically fast food. If you're going to like Taco Bell and McDonald's and all of that, like it's just not good for you. It's driving inflammation. It's disrupting your gut health. It's a lot of calories, like bad fats. So definitely cut that out.
Just anything ultra processed too.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I've gone through so many phases where once again, you take inventory, you really look at what you're eating, and it's like even if your calories and your macros are within there, it's like it's a protein bar and a protein shake and like all these processed things and powders, and it's like, okay, what if we just replace those with whole foods? The inflammation comes down.
Exactly. And the chemicals in like those health foods, like the artificial sweeteners and stuff like that, they're actually seeing that they're driving your appetite more.
Yeah.
Because you're getting the signal of sweet, but then you're not getting the insulin response or like the actual nutrients from like the sugar and carbs. And so it's your body's like, I'm tasting sugar, but like I'm not getting sugar. So it makes you crave sugar even more.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Can we talk about the David protein bars and this like indigestible fat that they're using in them?
Yeah, I saw that. That's crazy.
Is that not so scary?
It's scary because you get the mouthfeel of the fat,
Yeah.
that you're not getting
You're
the
just
fat
not
at all.
digesting them.
Yeah,
Like I just feel like so this substance is just like
floating around.
yeah, like floating its way through my body, not getting absorbed. Like it's the epitome to me of like we've lost the plot.
For sure. I completely agree. Now we're eating something that tastes like a chocolate fudge brownie or what. I don't know the flavors. I've never tried them, honestly. And then your body just like has no fucking idea what to do with it because it's just a bunch of sludge.
Yeah. It's literally inabsorbable or
Yeah.
unabsorbable to our intestines.
Like we've
ugh.
manufactured something that we can't absorb, but like it's just all of its craziness.
Yeah.
Just eat a chocolate cake at that point. What are you doing?
Right. It comes back to the like just get your protein from, maybe some chicken and like
And then
have
eat
a little
the chocolate
dessert
cake.
after. It's okay. Yeah.
Exactly.
Like you'll be okay.
You don't have to mesh everything together. Like
Yeah.
I get the sentiment, but yeah, we've gone way too far with that.
Okay. Thank you so much for being here today. Is there anything else you want to leave the listeners with on this topic of weight loss? This hot topic?
Yes, I think one, like I don't want anyone to think that you have to go to extremes to lose weight because you don't have to. I did. And I've managed to maintain it, which is amazing, but that's not the case for everyone. Like I did a lot of setting my body up so it was in a healthy place to be able to handle that. And so if you're somebody who is not, you don't feel like you're in a healthy place right now, whether you're dealing with gut health issues, you already have hormone imbalances, maybe you have PCOS or Hashimoto's or some underlying condition, don't think that you have to go balls to the walls to lose weight, but also don't be scared to push yourself. I feel like we are always trying to flip from one extreme to the other. And it goes back to like the yo-yo dieting thing or any sort of health trends. It's like we're just bopping around everywhere trying to figure out what works. And I've found like it's usually that one thing that's in the back of your head that it's like you don't want to do it, but like that's probably the thing that's the best for you. It's that one thing that is probably going to make the difference. And that's going to be different for everyone what that is. But I think in order to get healthy or lose weight or whatever goal it is, like you just have to face the facts of where you're at and like what you have to do to get to where you want to be. And usually it's the simple, basic, mundane, boring things that none of us want to do. That's what it is. So I think if I had one piece of advice, it would be to stop like searching for more information. It's usually just doing the actual shit and pushing through it. And it sucks. And you have to make sacrifices. But like that's the only thing that's going to get you to where you want to be. And you're going to get there much faster if you just accept that and do it rather than trying to find all of these shortcuts.
Oh, yeah. No, I love that. The amount of times in my life I have decided I'm going to go on this whatever protocol and spent so much time filling my Whole Foods cart and prepping all these things. Like you're exhausted by the end of it. You don't even have the energy to put towards like you said, the real work ahead of you. I love that. Thank you so much for being here. Where can people find you?
Instagram _graceful wellness.
Love it.
Thanks.
This podcast was brought to you by Pureform, a comprehensive wellness center in Boca Raton, Florida. The website is pureformhealth.com, or you can find us on Instagram at pureformhealth. Feel free to message us with any questions, and note that you can connect with our providers for consultations over Zoom, from everything from stem cell therapy to hormone replacement therapy and peptide therapy. That's it for this episode of the Healthspan Collective. We hope you found it insightful and inspiring. Don't forget to follow us wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode. And if you enjoyed today's conversation, we'd love for you to rate, review, subscribe, and send it to a friend. We'd also love to connect with you on Instagram. Follow the podcast at Healthspan Collective, and me at Nicole J. Doran. And leave us a comment on our latest post letting us know what you'd like us to cover next.